Have you ever felt like a woman might be interested in you, but you just weren't sure? She smiled, looked a little longer, laughed at your joke even when it wasn't funny. But instead of chasing the idea, you stepped back because as a Stoic man, you value clarity over confusion. Welcome to Stoic HQ, where we don't guess emotions, we read them with intention. Today, we're diving into 11 subtle gestures and signs that a woman secretly likes you through the calm, observant lens of Stoicism. No fluff, no games, just quiet cues and what they really mean. Because here's the truth, women don't always say it out loud, but they show it. And if you learn how to observe without reacting, you'll never need to chase validation again. These signs are easy to miss, but once you know them, you'll start seeing them everywhere. Stay with me, because the final sign we cover is the most powerful and the one most men ignore. So hit that like button, subscribe if you value self-mastery, and let's unlock the unspoken truths behind her gestures. She mirrors your movements. You're sitting at a coffee shop, leaning slightly forward as you talk. A few minutes later, you notice she leans in too. You tilt your head, she does the same. You reach for your glass of water, and a moment later, so does she. Is it coincidence or something deeper? One of the most powerful, yet quiet indicators of attraction is mirroring. When a woman subconsciously mimics your body language, whether it's your gestures, posture, tone of voice, or even your breathing rhythm, it's a sign her body is tuned into yours. Not just casually, but intimately and instinctively. But here's where most men go wrong. They rush to conclusions. A Stoic man doesn't jump to chase. He doesn't assume. He observes. And more importantly, he observes over time. Stoicism teaches us to resist the temptation of emotional impulsivity. Just because someone mirrors you once doesn't mean she's into you. But repeated mirroring across different settings, that's not noise, that's signal. The Stoic mindset filters out fleeting emotion and allows you to identify patterns. Repeated mirroring is one of them. It's nature's way of saying, we're in sync. I feel safe, I'm engaged. These are precursors to romantic interest, but only when consistent. In ancient Stoic thought, the wise man doesn't act based on excitement. He acts based on reasoned clarity. So instead of leaning into your ego when you notice she's mimicking, you lean into your calm. Ask yourself, is this genuine connection or just social mirroring? How often does it happen? In what context? This small gesture, mirroring, becomes much more than body language when viewed through the Stoic lens. It becomes a subtle echo of emotional alignment. Let's look at a real-life scenario. You're at a friend's dinner party. You're talking with a small group, and you notice this woman slightly adjusting her stance as you do. You lean back, arms crossed. A few moments later, her arms cross. You pick up your fork, she picks up hers. It continues like this through the night. Now here's where the Stoic approach shines. Most men either ignore it entirely or they take it as a green light and make a move. Too soon, too bold, too unaware. But the Stoic man, he notes the pattern. He allows space for her behavior to unfold. He recognizes the moment for what it is, a quiet signal that trust and attraction may be present, but it is not yet earned or confirmed. Days later, you meet again, this time at a group hiking event. Once again, you notice she walks at your pace, adjusts her water bottle when you adjust yours, laughs slightly after you do, even shifts her shoulders when you stretch. That's no longer a fluke, it's a pattern. At that point, the Stoic man doesn't declare victory. He simply opens space. He maintains calm composure, engages naturally, and invites deeper connection without force. Because the goal is never to catch feelings or chase women, it's to observe, respond with presence, and let attraction unfold with dignity. The real power lies in your detachment from outcome. When you stop trying to make her like you and simply watch for these quiet signs, You naturally become more magnetic, not because you're playing games, but because you're in control of yourself. That's rare, that's attractive. And when she sees that you notice her mirroring, but don't exploit it, you elevate yourself above the average man who moves too fast, talks too much, and misreads desire as desperation. In a world full of noise, the Stoic man listens. He notices. He waits, and when the time is right, he acts, not out of hunger, but from grounded confidence. Keep watching, because the next sign we'll cover is even more obvious, but still misunderstood by most men. She initiates contact, even if it's just small talk. And what that really means, you'll want to hear it from a Stoic lens. She initiates contact. Even if it's small talk, she sends you a meme, asks a random question she could have Googled, drops a "Hey, how's your day going?" for no reason at all. At first glance, it seems casual, even meaningless. But here's the truth. When a woman goes out of her way to initiate contact, even with light small talk, she's signaling one powerful truth. I want to be in your orbit. It's not about the content. It's about the intent behind the message. Whether it's a simple emoji, a quick check-in, or a question that doesn't need answering, these soft nudges are often her way of opening a door without putting her pride at risk. But here's the catch. Most men either overreact or don't recognize it at all. Stoicism teaches us to control our emotions and actions, not the emotions of others. When a woman initiates contact, the Stoic man doesn't jump into validation mode. He doesn't get overly excited, misread friendliness as affection, or text back instantly just to feel wanted. Instead, he discerns. He observes the frequency, the tone, the timing. He asks himself not, "What does this mean for me?" but "What is she actually expressing?" A Stoic man separates ego from evidence. If her messages are consistent and always directed at you, if she initiates even when there's no clear reason, and especially if she continues after you've been calm and composed in response, then it's a strong signal of genuine interest. Stoicism sharpens your awareness. Is she making excuses to talk to you? Or is she truly looking for a connection? The wise man remains centered. He neither chases nor withdraws. He simply holds space. You work at a company with a shared group chat. Every now and then, she drops a comment aimed at you. Did you survive that boring meeting? Didn't you say you like matcha? There's a new spot near me. Random question. Are you good with movie recommendations? She's not asking for answers. She's asking for attention. Now, many men respond in one of two ways. Either they jump in, flood her with energy, over-validate, and burn the mystery, or they downplay it, trying to appear disinterested, but instead come off cold. The Stoic man. He replies with intention, brief, measured, present. He understands that attraction built on curiosity is stronger than attraction chased down with words. Let's say, a week later, she texts first again. "Hey, I was just thinking about something. You said..." That's her inviting consistency. A Stoic man sees this not as a chance to impress, but as a chance to assess. He builds trust, not tension. He reflects energy, not anxiety. He knows that a woman who reaches out more than once without being prompted is showing real, though careful, interest. Your power lies in not reacting with neediness. When you're grounded, and she senses that, you're not fazed by her contact, yet still receptive. You become magnetic. Why? Because you're not like the others. You don't need her attention to validate your day. You're simply centered in your own. That's rare. That's masculine. That's Stoic. She texts you because something about your presence feels stable. Now here's where it gets more physical. Up next, we'll explore the sign that leaves no room for doubt. She finds reasons to touch you, lightly, casually, and repeatedly. But how should a Stoic man respond to that? Stay with me, because the answer might surprise you. She finds reasons to touch you, lightly, casually and repeatedly. You're mid-conversation, and she lightly taps your arm while laughing. You're walking side by side, and her hand gently grazes yours. You hand her something, and her fingers linger just a second longer than necessary. These aren't accidents. When a woman finds reasons to initiate physical touch, even in subtle ways, it's often her body expressing what her words are not yet ready to reveal: comfort, interest, and attraction. Touch is one of the oldest forms of human connection, and when it's casual, repeated, and only directed toward you, that's a sign. But many men misread it badly. A Stoic man does not overreact. He doesn't let his mind spiral into fantasy. He doesn't assume she's into him simply because she brushed his jacket or adjusted his necklace. Instead, he observes consistency. In Stoicism, one of the core virtues is temperance, the ability to hold back when your emotions want to take over. When you feel the thrill of her touch, the wise man acknowledges it but doesn't let it cloud his judgment. He asks himself, is she this touchy with everyone, or is it uniquely directed at me? Does it happen only in private, or even around others? He pays attention to context over emotion. In fact, the true Stoic understands that her touches are not permission, they're signals. And signals require wisdom, not assumption. Let's say you're volunteering at a community event. You're both assigned to the same task. As you work, she playfully bumps your shoulder while handing you something. At first, you think nothing of it, but then it happens again. This time, she touches your forearm while making a joke. Later, while taking a break, she adjusts something on your collar. That's 3 touches: light, casual, intentional. The average guy, he'll either misinterpret and make a bold, inappropriate move, or act awkwardly and pull away. The Stoic man, he acknowledges, but does not act impulsively. He remains composed, continues the interaction naturally, and watches for repeat patterns. Later that week, during a group hangout, she sits beside you even when there are other available seats. Her leg brushes against yours, and she doesn't pull away. Then, while laughing, she taps your knee. This is no longer random. This is deliberate intimacy. The Stoic man recognizes that, but doesn't chase. He doesn't flinch. He lets her feel safe in her expression without trying to control the moment. And that composure, it amplifies his presence. Here's where the Stoic man stands out. When most guys see touch as a green light for escalation, the Stoic sees it as a moment to build deeper trust. Because attraction is not a signal to act, it's a signal to anchor yourself. That calmness, that resistance to impulse builds your value in her eyes. You're not just another man chasing validation. You're a man in control of himself, and that is the rarest form of power. Women don't just want to feel heard, they want to feel safe. And your grounded reaction to her physical gestures communicates that safety better than any flirtatious line ever could. But what if she's doing something even more revealing, like adjusting her schedule just to be around you? That's sign 4, and it's deeper than you think, because when a woman rearranges her life for proximity, there's a silent emotional investment at play, and the Stoic response. You'll want to hear it. She makes time for you. Even when she's busy, everyone is busy. That's life. But then there's intentional effort, the kind that bends schedules, breaks routines, and makes time where there was none. When a woman, whose calendar is stacked with school, work, family, or personal goals, still finds a way to see you, talk to you, or just be near you, that's not convenience, that's priority. Watch for this. She rearranges meetings, she sacrifices sleep, she shows up even if it means being late elsewhere. She doesn't just make time, she chooses to give it to you. That's not casual interest. That's a signal of emotional investment. Now here's where the Stoic man stands apart. He doesn't take this effort for granted. He doesn't inflate his ego or assume he's the center of her world. And he doesn't rush to fill the space she offers with meaningless conversation or performance. Instead, he understands a deep Stoic truth. What we give our time to reveals what we value. He sees that her sacrifice, her rearranged day, her extended break, her quiet message saying, "I can meet up if you're still around," is a signal that she's not just available but invested. And here's the key: the Stoic man doesn't exploit that time. He honors it. He remains fully present, grounded, unhurried. Stoicism teaches us to respect what is offered freely, not manipulate it. So when she makes space for you in her life, treat it as something sacred, not something owed. Imagine this. She's a final-year university student juggling deadlines, projects, and part-time work. You've casually mentioned a gallery opening on a Saturday afternoon, knowing she's already packed with commitments. But that morning, you get a message. "I have a window from 2 to 3. I'd love to meet if you're still going." She didn't need to say that. She didn't need to rearrange her lunch or shift her gym time. But she did. She's showing you something. You matter enough to be carved into my day. Or let's say you're both part of a community project. She's always arriving late, except on the days she knows you'll be early. On those days, she's there ahead of time, waiting. Coincidence? Maybe once. But when it happens more than twice, the Stoic man notices a pattern, and instead of reacting with, "Oh, she must really like me," he remains steady. He holds gratitude, not assumption. He responds with presence, not pressure. The average man misinterprets this sign. He sees it as a green light to escalate, dominate, or demand more of her time. The Stoic man, he gives her time back. He leads with calm conversation, deep listening, and clear boundaries. He understands that her gesture is built on trust, and he refuses to break it with haste. Her time is not a reward. It's a test of your maturity. Can you be the kind of man whose presence makes that sacrifice worth it? If yes, she'll give even more. Emotionally, mentally, and perhaps romantically. Now that you understand how she gives you her time, get ready for something even more primal. Sign 5. Her eyes search for you in a crowd, because eye contact is no accident. And when a woman keeps locking eyes with you, even from across a room, the message is clear. And the Stoic response. It's everything. You're at a party, a gathering, or an event. The room is full of people, but somehow, every time you glance around, her eyes find yours. It might be just a glance at first, quick, fleeting, but when it happens again and again, it's no accident. She's searching for you, and not just in a physical sense. She's looking for a connection, for validation, for something deeper. When a woman makes eye contact, then quickly looks away, it's often an unconscious act, but it reveals interest. And when it happens multiple times in a setting where she has plenty of other distractions, it becomes more than coincidence. She's looking for you in a crowd. It could happen in a group conversation where her gaze consistently drifts towards you, or while you're across the room, she'll keep finding you with her eyes. This isn't curiosity about your looks. This is her subconscious signaling that she wants to be noticed by you. For the Stoic man, eye contact isn't about playing games or testing his own power. It's about awareness, and awareness only. He doesn't chase the signal, doesn't act like it's a victory. He recognizes it for what it is, an invitation to be more present. A Stoic doesn't assume the gaze means anything beyond what's in front of him. He observes the behavior, but doesn't let it cloud his judgment. This is where many men falter. They take the eye contact as confirmation of attraction and rush to validate their own desirability. But the Stoic man knows this. True confidence doesn't need validation. When a woman's eyes seek yours, the Stoic simply looks back, not with force, not with intent to control, but with quiet recognition. He's present. He acknowledges the connection, but he does not rush in to fill the silence. He doesn't overcomplicate the moment. Imagine you're at a mutual friend's dinner party. The atmosphere is relaxed, everyone's chatting, and there's laughter across the room. You're in a conversation with someone, but every few moments you notice her eyes drifting toward you. The first time, you brush it off. Maybe she was looking at someone else, but it happens again and again, each time her gaze locking on yours. For just a moment, before she quickly looks away. At first, it might feel like a fluke. Maybe she's glancing in your direction by accident, but if you pay attention, you'll notice the subtle pattern. She's finding you, actively seeking your presence in a room full of people. The average man might think, she likes me, she wants me to approach her. And in that moment, he'll rush over, try to catch her attention, and awkwardly escalate the situation. The Stoic man, he doesn't chase the gaze. He recognizes it. He doesn't need to turn it into something bigger. Instead, he simply meets her eyes with a calm expression, perhaps offering a small smile, an acknowledgement that he's aware of the connection, but doesn't need to react. Later on, when they find themselves alone or in a quieter setting, she may naturally gravitate toward him, her body language signaling further interest. But the Stoic man has already demonstrated the most powerful response of all: patience. The average response to eye contact is to rush in, to feel the need to assert dominance or power. The Stoic, on the other hand, remains calm and centered. By doing this, he demonstrates self-respect. He doesn't need to chase or seek validation. Her eyes, searching for his, don't create a need within him to immediately respond. They are simply an invitation to share presence, to connect silently without forcing anything. This reaction, the balance of acknowledgement with composure, amplifies your allure. You become magnetic, not because of your overt actions, but because you exude a silent confidence that says, I don't need your validation, but I am fully open to what we can share together. Now that we've explored the subtle art of eye contact, get ready for the next sign, which is even more revealing. Sign 6. She takes special care with her appearance around you. Because when she dresses differently, when she puts in extra effort, that's no accident. The signals are becoming clearer, and the Stoic man knows exactly how to interpret them. If you've noticed that she's always just a little more polished, a little more put together whenever she's around you, whether it's a subtle style, upgrade, or a fresh approach to how she carries herself, it's not a coincidence. This could be in small, almost unnoticeable ways: a new hairstyle, a favorite outfit she knows you've complimented in the past, more effort put into her makeup or fragrance, even just the way she carries herself, more confident, more poised. She's sending a signal that she wants to be seen by you. And this is more than a casual effort. The reason it stands out is because she's not doing it for anyone else. She's doing it for you. She's making a deliberate decision to invest in her appearance because she values how you perceive her. For the Stoic man, this isn't an immediate cause for over-analysis or excitement. He doesn't jump to conclusions or inflate his own ego. Instead, he takes a step back, observing the subtlety of her actions without rushing to interpret them. Stoicism teaches us that actions speak louder than words, but actions also require patience in their interpretation. The Stoic does not assume that every well-groomed woman is seeking something from him. He understands that true connection comes not from the immediate assumption of interest, but from acknowledging value in both the self and the other. When a woman carefully adjusts her appearance around you, the Stoic man appreciates the gesture, but he doesn't get consumed by it. He does not seek to capitalize on the moment for his own gratification. Instead, he recognizes that her behavior is one of self-respect, an effort to present herself at her best, not just for her own sense of pride, but perhaps in the hope that you'll acknowledge it. But, importantly, he does not demand that validation. He doesn't use her care as a reason to pursue her. Instead, he remains grounded, observing and responding with grace. Imagine you're meeting her at a local cafe for coffee. You've been talking for a while, but this time, there's something different. She's dressed in a way that stands out. Maybe it's a new jacket she's never worn before, or a polished look she hadn't shown before. It's clear she's put extra thought into her appearance. She doesn't need to say a word about it. You can feel that the effort is intentional. Now, most men might think, she's doing this because she likes me. This is my cue to step up and make a move. But the Stoic man notices it for what it is. A choice, a display of self-respect, not an invitation to perform. He doesn't rush to validate her efforts with compliments, nor does he question her motives. He simply acknowledges it with grace, either through his own composure or, if appropriate, a subtle recognition. Maybe a simple, "You look great today," with sincerity, without any ulterior motive. This is the power of Stoic control. He doesn't make her effort a reflection of his worth. He simply respects it as part of her individuality. The average man, faced with such visible signs of effort, might feel pressured to react quickly, perhaps to compliment her excessively or rush toward escalating the relationship. The Stoic man, however, understands that patience is strength. He doesn't rush to fill the silence with empty words or gestures. He recognizes that true confidence comes not from seeking validation, but from demonstrating self-control. By acknowledging her effort calmly and without ulterior motives, the Stoic man elevates himself. He shows that he is a man of self-respect, someone who doesn't need validation from external sources to feel whole. This is how you turn her subtle displays of interest into a deeper, more meaningful connection. You don't overplay it. You remain the steady presence that she naturally gravitates toward, not because of your need to impress, but because of your ability to appreciate her effort while maintaining your own integrity. Now that we've explored how she takes special care with her appearance around you, get ready for something even more telling. Sign 7. She finds excuses to touch you, because when a woman's touch lingers, when it seems incidental but feels intentional, that's a signal. And the Stoic response to physical closeness is key. This one is subtle but incredibly powerful. If she lightly touches your arm while laughing at your joke, brushes your shoulder by accident, or rests her hand a moment longer than needed, during conversation, she's doing more than just being friendly. These touches often come with an air of effortless spontaneity, as if they just happened. But here's the reality. Most women are highly aware of physical boundaries. If she's breaking that invisible wall of personal space and doing it repeatedly, it's likely intentional. The key is consistency and context. One accidental brush? Maybe nothing, but if she's frequently making small, gentle contact, and only with you, that's a signal. The Stoic doesn't confuse affection with availability. Stoicism teaches us that discipline in interpretation is just as important as discipline in action. A Stoic man recognizes physical gestures as data, not declarations. He observes the touch, notes its consistency, and contextualizes it. He does not react impulsively, nor does he let desire cloud his judgment. Why? Because the Stoic man understands this simple truth: proximity is not permission. She might be signaling comfort, interest, even attraction, but the Stoic doesn't immediately assume. Instead, he respects her space more after the contact, not less. He doesn't touch back reflexively. He doesn't exploit the opportunity. He simply holds space with calm presence. He shows that her physical expression of interest does not disrupt his inner peace or provoke him to act out of impulse. This restraint is magnetic. It demonstrates self-respect, emotional intelligence, and maturity, qualities that women are naturally drawn to. Let's say you're seated next to her at a group dinner. The energy is light, everyone's laughing. You tell a story and she leans in closer than necessary, lightly tapping your forearm as she laughs. Later, while reaching for a glass, her hand brushes yours and lingers for just a moment longer than it needed to. Then as you both get up to leave, she places her hand gently on your back to guide you forward, even though it wasn't crowded. None of these gestures on their own scream interest. But when they repeat, and when they seem directed at you alone, a pattern forms. Now, a typical guy might immediately think, she's into me, time to make a move. But a Stoic man does something different. He breathes, he observes, he lets her feel safe in her own gesture without trying to mirror it or escalate. He holds stillness in the storm of signals, and in doing so, he communicates something rare. I see you, I respect you, but I am not moved by flattery or chemistry alone. I move by clarity. That's the kind of energy that compels deeper respect, and often, ironically, more intimacy. Many men rush to reciprocate these touches, believing that physical contact means emotional green light. But the Stoic man knows that the world is filled with momentary feelings that don't always lead to meaningful relationships. Instead of reading every touch as a cue to act, he lets it be what it is, a signal, not a script. He doesn't make the moment about conquest. He makes it about connection. And that means not rushing, not assuming, and most importantly, not betraying his values in pursuit of validation. This restraint, this power to pause, is one of the most attractive forces a man can possess. Now, if that resonated with you, wait until you hear about the next sign, one that goes beyond body language and into emotional investment. Because when a woman starts remembering the smallest details about you, it's not just kindness, it's care. And how a Stoic man handles emotional intimacy, that's where the game really shifts. Sign 8. She remembers the little things about you. You're having a regular conversation, and suddenly she says something like, "Didn't you say you love Ethiopian coffee? I saw this cafe and thought of you." Or perhaps weeks after a random chat, she asks, "How did your sister's interview go?" These aren't just nice gestures, they're signals. When a woman recalls the small details, especially those you barely emphasized, it reveals something deeper. She's mentally and emotionally investing in you. Why? Because people remember what they care about. The mind doesn't store what it deems irrelevant. If she remembers small facts about your life, your favorite book, your opinion on a topic, your weekend plans, it's because, consciously or not, she values those details, and by extension, you. Stoicism teaches us to measure intent through patterns, not declarations. The Stoic man doesn't get lost in grand words or dramatic gestures. He looks for repetition, consistency, and quiet investment. So when a woman remembers those little things, things you didn't repeat or highlight, the Stoic man notes the signal, but he doesn't inflate it. He doesn't let himself be seduced by the sweetness of attention. Instead, he calmly receives the gesture and remains grounded. Why? Because he understands that emotional connection is not validated by surprise, but by sustained care. To the Stoic man, someone remembering your preferences or worries is a sign of interest, yes, but also a chance to watch how they continue to show up. Stoicism is about delayed interpretation. It's wisdom over wishful thinking. Let's say you meet a woman at a conference. You have one brief conversation where you mention offhand that you're planning to visit Lagos next month because it's your mom's birthday. Weeks later, you run into her again, and she says, "Hey, didn't you say your mom's birthday was coming up? How did the trip go?" You didn't expect her to remember that. And that's the point. This wasn't public knowledge. She didn't need to remember it, but she did. Most men would be flattered and think, she must really like me. But the Stoic man doesn't rush to label her intention. He recognizes it as a data point, a meaningful one, and continues to observe. Over time, he'll notice whether her care expands. Does she recall your schedule? Does she support your passions? Does she show up for your moments? Not just her own, because that's the difference between curiosity and connection. One is interest, the other is investment, and the Stoic man is interested only in the latter. Men often fall too fast for kindness, but the Stoic man knows selective memory is emotional currency. She may not say she likes you, but if she remembers you in your absence, that's a deeper form of attention than most words can express. Still, the Stoic doesn't let this pull him off his path. He appreciates, but doesn't attach. He responds, but doesn't react. He allows connection, but doesn't depend on it. This emotional self-control is not just attractive, it's powerful. Because when you're not desperate for recognition, you attract it naturally. Now, if you thought memory was a sign of interest, wait until you hear this next one. Because when a woman begins seeking your opinion before making her decisions, not just sharing hers, it's a sign of something even more intimate, trust. And a Stoic man knows trust isn't something you ask for. It's something you earn and protect. Sign 9. She seeks your opinion. Pay close attention when a woman starts asking for your input on her life, not just casually, but in ways that clearly matter to her. It could be something small like, "Do you think this color looks good on me?" Or deeper, "I've been thinking of switching careers. What would you do in my place?" When she seeks out your opinion, especially on things that carry weight in her world, she's showing that your perspective holds value. She's not just filling silence. She's inviting your worldview into her decision-making process. And here's what's most important. It often begins quietly, not with dramatic confessions, but with simple, intentional questions. Questions she could have asked anyone, but chose to ask you. Stoicism teaches that the quality of your influence is measured not by how loudly you speak, but by how deeply others listen. When a Stoic man notices a woman asking for his opinion, he doesn't immediately assume she's in love. He doesn't confuse admiration for intimacy. Instead, he sees it as a sign that his character, his inner fortress, is being trusted. She is testing the waters of his judgment. Does he speak with clarity? Does he remain calm in complexity? Does he guide, or does he impose? To a Stoic, being asked for input isn't a moment to flex knowledge, but a moment to display restraint. He offers thoughts, not commands. He provides clarity, not control. And most importantly, he never lets influence inflate his ego. He knows the moment you try to own her decisions, you lose the very trust you earned. Let's imagine this. You've been talking to a woman for a few weeks, maybe from work, school, or a mutual group. One evening, she sends you a message out of the blue. "I've got 2 job offers. One pays more, but the other one aligns with my passion. What would you choose?" She's not asking because she's confused. She's asking because she respects your judgment. In her eyes, you're not just fun to talk to. You've become someone whose input matters. Now, a non-Stoic man might jump in with strong opinions, over-explaining or even trying to guide her outcome. But the Stoic man does the opposite. He listens. He asks clarifying questions. He gives his perspective, but makes space for her decision. And in doing so, he becomes even more magnetic. Not because he's controlling the situation, but because he's holding space with emotional intelligence and maturity. The Stoic understands that the ultimate power isn't in being needed, it's in being trusted. When a woman seeks your opinion, she's not just asking what you think, she's subtly testing how you handle responsibility. Will you honor her space? Will you impose your ego? Will you try to fix her life or walk with her through her choice? The Stoic man answers calmly, helps clearly, and detaches from outcome. He doesn't need to be right. He doesn't need to be obeyed. He just offers value and lets it speak for itself. And that kind of composure, It builds real connection. Now, speaking of connection, the next sign takes things even deeper, because when a woman starts defending you in conversations, especially when you're not around, it shows more than just interest. It shows loyalty, and the Stoic man knows that loyalty isn't demanded. It's earned by how you carry yourself when no one is watching. Sign 10. She stands up for you. You're not even in the room, but someone tells you later. She spoke up for you when others started talking. Or maybe you're in a conversation and someone casually throws shade your way. You always take things so seriously, man. Before you even reply, she cuts in. That's because he actually listens and thinks before reacting. I respect that. When a woman defends your character, even in small moments, that's not random. It's not just courtesy. It's alignment with how you think, how you show up, and what you stand for. Because we don't fight for people we don't care about. We fight for those we value. A Stoic man doesn't look for applause. He doesn't need external validation to walk in truth. But he pays attention to where honor echoes. If a woman begins standing up for you, especially when your reputation or decisions are questioned, she's doing something powerful. She's risking her own perception to protect yours. That's not casual. The Stoic man interprets this not as ego fuel, but as a signal. His consistency, calm, and clarity are being recognized, not just by her, but through her. But, and here's the key, he doesn't let that praise swell into pride, because the Stoic knows, today she may defend you, tomorrow she may challenge you. So his identity remains rooted in virtue, not validation. Imagine this. You're working on a group project, and the team is behind schedule. You've taken initiative, kept things on track, done your part. But during a meeting, someone mumbles, maybe if he wasn't so obsessed with doing things his way, we'd be done by now. You stay calm, you don't bite. And that's when she speaks. Actually, he's the only reason this project didn't fall apart. I've watched him carry more than his share. She wasn't prompted. She wasn't defending herself. She saw your effort, and she chose to defend it. You didn't ask her to. You didn't need her to. But she did. And to the Stoic man, that's not just admiration. It's a test of mutual alignment. It tells him, she doesn't just notice me. She respects how I operate, and she's willing to stand with that, even when it's inconvenient. Respect can't be demanded. Loyalty can't be forced. They are responses to how you show up when no one owes you anything. When a woman stands up for you, especially when she gains nothing from it, it's a quiet announcement. This man is worth backing. But don't romanticize it. Don't over-celebrate. Simply take note, because a woman who defends you is watching more than your actions. She's admiring your integrity. And for the Stoic man, integrity is the only reputation that matters. Let her respect echo, but don't build your self-worth on her applause. Stay grounded, stay consistent, because the more solid your foundation, the more you invite people who respect strength, not just charm. We're almost at the final sign, and this next one might be the most subtle of them all, because when a woman begins making excuses to be around you, even when there's no real reason, it reveals desire not spoken, but lived. Sign 11. She finds reasons to be near you. She starts appearing more often. Not in an obvious way, not clingy, not chasing, but she's just there. She joins the gym you go to. She signs up for the same workshop. She's around when your shift ends or just happens to walk past your desk. She might ask, hey, mind if I join you for lunch? Or say, oh, wow, I didn't know you'd be here, even though she probably did. What you're seeing is proximity with purpose. She's choosing to occupy your space, even when there's no obligation to, because the truth is, we move toward what we're drawn to. The Stoic man never confuses availability with validation. Just because she's present doesn't mean she's committed, but it does mean she's curious. And curiosity is the first real form of pursuit. To the Stoic, these coincidences are not opportunities to assume, but to observe. Is she making time where she previously didn't? Is her presence intentional or forced? Does she linger after conversations or place herself near you even in silence? Stoicism reminds us, true affection often whispers before it shouts. A woman doesn't need to declare her feelings when her actions betray her interest. But here's the key. The Stoic doesn't chase this attention. He doesn't alter his path for validation. He simply notices the pattern, respects it, and remains anchored in his purpose. Because if she wants to be near you, it should be because of who you are, not how much you bend. Let's say you're volunteering at an event every Saturday. You've been doing it for months. Suddenly, she starts showing up. At first, she says, "Oh, I've been wanting to give back too." Cool, no big deal. But a week later, she asks to be assigned to your station. Then she brings you coffee before the shift. She stays after to chat. She starts referencing things you said weeks ago, showing she's been paying attention. Now, she never says, "I like you." She never flirts overtly, but her behavior screams it. "I want to be near your energy." The Stoic man receives this not with ego, but with presence. He doesn't chase her. He doesn't overanalyze her motives. He just notes, this is interest, shown through proximity. And then he does what a Stoic does. He continues living with discipline and clarity, letting her choose what she wants to align with. There is immense power in silence. And a woman who keeps finding ways to be near you is speaking through her presence. But remember, the Stoic never leans on external interest to define internal worth. He doesn't become more or less confident based on how many people orbit him. He simply observes and continues walking in virtue. If she keeps showing up, she's drawn not just to your looks, your status, or your words. She's drawn to your stillness, to your clarity, to the calm gravity that only a man who's mastered himself can carry. And that is the rarest form of attraction. Now that you've seen all 11 signs, the question isn't whether she likes you. It's whether you're grounded enough to respond, without ego. Because a Stoic man never asks, "Does she like me?" He asks, "Is this alignment or just attention?" In the final video segment, we'll bring it all together. How to act when you notice these signs, and how to stay true to your Stoic self, whether she steps closer or walks away. You've just walked through 11 gestures, subtle, powerful, and often ignored, that reveal when a woman secretly likes you. But here's what separates the Stoic man from every other guy scrolling through videos, trying to decode romance. The Stoic man doesn't chase love blindly. He doesn't lean on feelings to shape reality. He doesn't ask, "Does she like me?" Every time someone smiles at him, instead, he observes. He stands still, rooted in self-awareness, discipline, and purpose, and lets the truth reveal itself through consistent signs. He knows that attraction without alignment is noise. He doesn't jump at breadcrumbs. He watches for patterns, not isolated moments. When a woman mirrors his movements, lingers after the crowd leaves, lights up in his presence, or defends his name when he's not around, he doesn't react emotionally. He recognizes the signal, and then asks the most important question: is she drawn to who I truly am, or just what I represent? That question takes strength to ask. It takes a man who's not desperate for attention, but committed to virtue and clarity. So now I'll turn the lens toward you. Which of these 11 signs have you noticed before, but brushed off? Maybe she stood up for you in a meeting and you thought it was just kindness. Maybe she kept showing up in your orbit and you chalked it up to coincidence. Maybe she held your gaze a second too long and you looked away before asking why. Stoicism isn't about emotional detachment. It's about emotional mastery. It's about seeing clearly without the fog of fantasy or fear. So I challenge you, go back to those moments, rewind those interactions, replay that gesture, that compliment, that silence filled with meaning, because you might have overlooked what was quietly being said. You might have missed a woman showing you, without words, that she sees you, respects you, and maybe, just maybe, wants to move closer. This isn't about overthinking. It's about becoming intentional. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. The signs are there. The question is whether your eyes and your mind are open. Now I want to hear from you. Comment below. Which of these signs have you seen in your own life? And how did you respond? Were you too distracted to notice it? Did you ignore it because you thought you weren't ready? Or did you stand still, stay calm, and let her intentions unfold naturally? Let's build a community of men who lead with awareness, not assumption. And if this video made you think differently, if it gave you clarity, or even just a moment of insight, do 3 simple things that help this message grow. Like this video to tell the algorithm Stoic wisdom matters. Subscribe if you want more relationship insights grounded in timeless philosophy. Share this with a friend who's navigating the same confusing signals, because every man deserves a framework that grounds him. And remember, the Stoic path isn't about controlling love. It's about mastering yourself so you can recognize what's real when it finally arrives. Stay calm, stay grounded, stay stoic. I'll see you in the next one.